Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Christian. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, good day. Wherever you are, whenever you're seeing this, I hope you are good. So guys, today we're going to be talking about how to open your heart to receive new love and everything else that comes, with opening your heart and what that really means and what that really looks like. So that's what we're going to go ahead and get into, guys. If you want to follow me on social media, book sessions with me, the New You course, the tarot course, content packages, mentorships, releasing sessions, whatever the case may be, check down below in the description box to see the links of where you can get in contact with me and see all those things and then some. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into the conversation, guys. Let's just chat a little bit about how to open your heart to receive love and just be in a new mindset when it comes to how you relate to love and what that means. So first things first, and I feel like, I can't remember if I talked about this or not, but that is neither here nor there. I feel like I always am trying to remember if I already spoke on something with you guys or not, but let's get into this. So what does it mean to have an open heart? The real core, the real gag, the real tea, the real trick to having an open heart is to be able to handle pain effectively, And that might be unfortunate, but that really is the tea. And the reason is, you guys know I always say that love is the greatest vehicle for change, and it is. Because love inspires change. Love shows you the different ways that you can be. It creates an environment for vision and for dreaming and for, nothing like love to give you a spiritual awakening, you know what I'm saying? Or to crack open your third eye and show you what's possible, right? So as you're stepping into a space of possibility, of options, of integration as well, right? Because you're connecting with someone, whether that's platonic, romantic, a deep family connection, another version of yourself, whatever the case may be. When we seek love, we're seeking connection. So we want to mesh. And whenever we mesh with anyone or anything, there's going to be a need to find balance. Very seldomly do we just mesh seamlessly with things. And sometimes we do, and we could talk about that, the people and the things that we mesh seamlessly with. But most things, and even the things that we just mesh beautifully with, we're going to have to deal with pain. And what causes our heart to close up is when we feel like the risk of pain or the consequences of hurt is greater than the reward of the experience, the wisdom, the joy, the happiness, whatever we'll get from experiencing that love. And, it's always objective, I feel, depending on, well, not objective, it's subjective, depending on how deeply someone has experienced love. Someone might not really think that love is that important or that deep or that big of a deal. Someone else might be willing to die to have love in their life or do whatever it takes to have it. So, the amount of openness that is required of all of us is different because it's strictly based on how deep we want to experience love. And not only love, because having an open heart isn't just about love, right? Having an open heart means being able to manifest easily and freely, being able to forgive easily and freely. It means being able to bounce back a lot better from obstacles and challenges. It means being able to, navigate uncomfortable situations a lot better. It means having a strong sense of self. It means having an unshakable view of life and love and what you deserve. Unshakable meaning it is not changed depending on the environment that you're in, so whether you're feeling good or feeling bad or not sure or whatever, you'll always be able to find the love in an environment, or you'll always be able to remind yourself of, the love you're really supposed to have or what you really deserve or what have you. There's so many levels to how we will feel as we start to open up our heart more. But there's so many things that our heart is in control of. And I'm not even specifically talking about our heart chakra, just our heart space in general, but specifically our heart chakra. We have trust, we have forgiveness, we have grudges, we have the relationship between us and everything. Us and everything. That's how we feel about money, how we feel about sex, how we feel about our parents, how we feel about our siblings, how we feel about the world, how we feel about our past version of ourselves, how we feel about every emotion, how we feel about every situation and every human experience. So our heart is like the screen that we see everything through. If you have a broken heart, you mostly will see things through a space of defense because you're trying to protect that broken heart. If you have a heart where you're just wanting to just have it be so open, maybe where it's overly open, where you're looking to connect with everyone and everything, you'll see everything through an opportunity of what can I do? How can I help? So another reason why it's so important to have an open heart is because we connect with so many people that want to make use of us for different things in their life, right? They want us to be their friend or be their confidant or be their lover or be their networking partner or whatever. People want us for different reasons. Being connected to your heart in an open way allows you to understand what people want from you, why people want those things. It just gives you a space of clarity that is unmatched, okay? A space of clarity that's unmatched. So that's kind of what it looks like when you're stepping into an open heart. It allows you to understand why pain is pain. It allows you to understand the point of pain, the point of things being hard and difficult. And mind you, none of this makes any of this stuff easier. Having an open heart and being in touch with your heart doesn't make heartbreak fun. It doesn't make breakups fun or losing friends fun or challenges fun or hard conversations less scary. It just helps you push through those things because it gives you a foundation to understand, I know why I'm uncomfortable right now. I know what's on the line. I know what is at risk here. I know what the potential is. And that kind of gives you the motivation and the courage to kind of push forward a little bit. Also, having an open heart allows you to not be afraid of pain. It allows you to understand, even if I am in a space of pain, I'm still in control. I can still take care of myself. I can still handle it. I'll still be fine. And that's also that security that we need to push forward and be open in love in general. But if you're coming from a place of trauma, if you're coming from a place where you don't trust nobody and you're wondering how you can adapt an open heart and an open mindset and approach situations openly. And it's a few things that you need to do. I'm just going to start rallying off some things. I didn't have any notes for this video. I don't know if that's a good idea, but I still feel pretty good about it. Let me know how you guys feel about how things are flowing. But I think that it is good to start with unpacking your trauma. Of course, we know, right? We have to unpack our trauma and we have to work to understand the depth of how things are affecting us. The things that you want to protect yourself from the most are probably the reasons why your heart is blocked off. If you want to protect yourself from liars, people who are going to manipulate you, people who are going to do this, that, and the third, the way isn't to close yourself off. The way is actually, and this might gag some of us, the way is actually learning through openness. Because when you have allowed yourself to be open in the past and you've allowed yourself to be hurt and abused and taken advantage of, that gave you the wisdom and the tools right there to make sure it never happened again. If you would have been closed off from day one, you wouldn't have ever learned anything. So being closed off isn't how you learn anything. We may see it as a space of protection, but even then it's not really protection because it's just harboring your fear. You harbor a space of protection when you put yourself out in the world and you see yourself maintain your boundaries, you see yourself protect yourself. So if you're wanting an open heart, that's what you have to start doing. You have to start putting yourself out there so you can see yourself set the boundaries. You can see yourself demand what you want. You can see yourself attract the right type of love. If you are not being open to life showing you love in new ways, you won't be able to see those things. Also, taking it back a little bit, we have to, again, talking about the depth of the pain and the depth of things that hurt us. It's very good to look at situations and take yourself out of the equation because there's so many things that contribute to the pain in our lives. It's not just us. It's not even just our parents. It's not even just their parents. Most of the time, it's so many years and decades of trauma, of bad decisions, of closed mouths, of closed minds, of closed hearts. So many years of pain that's been unheard, of cries that have been unheard, of emotions that have gone unnoticed, that, it can almost feel impossible sometimes to move past the things that we need to move past. But it's very good to recognize what you have control over and what you don't have control over. It's even better to know what's yours and what isn't. A lot of the trauma that we hold is because we want answers. It's because we're waiting for things to make sense. It's because we're waiting, for things to come full circle. And sometimes that'll never happen. We'll never be able to get to that point because we're in a space where we're being forced to feel differently, to see differently, to operate differently. And not only that, we're in a space where we're forced in a bad environment. We're in a space where we're forced around people, adults most of the time, who are not mentally well, who are not spiritually well, who can't give us what we need. So a lot of us, we start off in a situation where having a closed heart is the only way to protect ourselves, because we saw what having an open heart got us, right? Being vulnerable is not always a good thing. And I think we all have to kind of be on a journey to find our way back to that, because now we know what pain looks like. We know the red flags. We know what abuse looks like. We know how people can harm us and seek us out specifically to target the beautiful, soft, gifted parts of us, So I think understanding who we are, understanding the people that have hurt us, and not even understanding them, just being able to see people for what they are, like being able to kind of remove, I don't even know what I really want to say. I'm hoping this makes sense, but we want to remove we want to remove how personal our pain is. And we want to remove it from us, work through it, and then create a new relationship with it. Because it's still your pain, right? So it's not like you can say, oh, I just don't resonate with this pain anymore. And that's not the way to do it. But you want to realize that pain 9 times out of 10 isn't yours. It's a response that you had to something that was a response to someone else had, to something that was a response to someone else had. And knowing that and understanding that, whether it was a response, whether it was a trigger, whether you had a part in it or didn't, understanding what pain looks like, black and white, by the facts, taking out the emotional aspects of it, understand who the people were that hurt you, why they did that to you, what their upbringing was like, what they know and don't know, what type of darkness they're dealing with on the inside, how vulnerable we were, the position that we were in that allowed us to be taken advantage of or disrespected or whatever the case may be. Whenever we're able to kind of know that and understand that, we're able to not necessarily make peace with the situation, because for some of us it will be peace, but for other people it'll just be, you're able to kind of accept it as a part of your journey. That's the most important thing. Acceptance can be an easier path to wholeness than forgiveness, and acceptance will lead you to forgiveness eventually. But if forgiveness is very difficult, try acceptance. And acceptance allows you to say, I see what happened. That's all that acceptance says. I see that this is what happened to me. This is what I went through. This is what I experienced. There's nothing that can change it. There's nothing that I could have done. There's nothing that could have happened that would have made things be different. This is what happened. This is who I am. So what am I going to do about that? Now that this thing happened to who I am, what am I going to do about that? Is this going to be the thing that stops me from loving, that stops me from trying, that stops me from doing this? And certain things will change how you move. They will change how you share and what parts of yourself you share and how open you are and how loving you are and how comfortable you feel with people and how intimate you get with people. They will change certain things about you. And it will allow you to know what boundaries you need to set, what borders you need to put around yourself so you can protect yourself. But you don't want to get to a point where you isolate yourself so much from love, you forget how to love yourself. You forget how to love life. You forget how to love people that really want to love you and show up for you, you know? So, opening your heart is a really long journey, because remember, as you're going to be going throughout life and as you're going to be working towards your healing, you're going to be getting hurt. Things are going to be happening. Your heart is going to be getting broken and putting back together all over again. So it's about feeling differently, I think, about life in general, and kind of developing a different perspective where you understand what pain of the heart means, what heartbreak means, you know? Love is the greatest vehicle for change, yes, but love also provides an environment where we will accept and endure the most, you know, like we will endure the most in the name of love. You know, that's not a coincidence. That's not a mistake. We are designed that way. We're designed to, you know, get deep with each other and get vulnerable with each other and kind of change ourselves from the inside out based on what we find out about ourselves through one another and through what love shows us. And the more we're able to experience love and all aspects of love, patience and kindness and forgiveness and acceptance and compromise and healthy communication and, you know, and joy and compassion and empathy and selflessness, you know, the more we're able to experience those things in our life, excuse me with my nose itching, the more we're able to experience those things in our life, the easier we're able to, not even the easier, well, I can say the easier for this, the easier we're going to be able to come into contact with spaces that give us more of that loving energy. You know, the more receptive we are to those things. And one of the best things that we can be whenever we're looking to step into a space of an open heart is being receptive. That's one of the best things that we can do. We want to be receptive. And, you know, I think that's one of the hardest things, because we only want what we want. We might only want what feels good, or we might only want what is this or what is this. But that's another thing about having an open heart, about stepping into a space where your heart is open. You have to understand that everything that you need to learn and see might not feel good. You know, you might be in some spaces where what you need is to be disappointed. What you need is to be let down, but it's only so you can be set up to step into something else. It's only to prepare you for something that is better. You know, we never need to focus on the uncomfortable steps that we have to go down to pave the way for what we're really supposed to be stepping into, you know? It's just a part of the process, and we want to be able to see it as that and feel that way about it. So when we're wanting to have an open heart, we have to understand that everybody I connect with, I might not fall in love with them. Every friend might not be my friend forever. Every opportunity, everything might not be forever. But if it isn't, I want to be able to bounce back a little bit better. I don't want to take it out on myself or take it out on other people. I don't want to turn it into something that weighs me down or stresses me out. I don't want to put myself against the wall, you know, put my back against the wall and force myself to make something work because, you know, it is what it is. You know, I'm in it, so now I have to make it work. You want to allow for flexibility, you know, and there's so many different things that we don't lean into whenever we're dealing with pain. You know, we don't want to lean into flexibility. We don't want to lean into having an open heart where we're just kind of open to being hurt and open to being let down and open to being disappointed, because that's what you have to be open to. But that also leaves you open for the magic. We can't be open to one thing and not be open to whatever else is going to come. And that is very unfortunate. But you know, it just is what it is. The only reason I say it's very unfortunate is because I don't want to deal with pain in life. Nobody wants to deal with pain in life, especially the pain that we have to go through to maintain great love and to foster great love and to have great love. And pain does not always look like abuse and cheating and lying. You know, a lot of the pain that love puts us through is fighting our own demons, fighting our own shadow, dealing with our own pain, breaking our own generational curses, facing ourselves in the mirror to figure out who we need to be to, you know, support our partner and to support the type of love that we want in our lives. You know, overall, it's about making a decision. It's about choosing I don't want to say the lesser of two evils, but it's about, choosing your struggle. People also often say choose your struggle. No matter what you want, you're going to struggle. If you aim for nothing, you're going to struggle. If you aim for everything, you're going to struggle. And the way that I feel about life is that life is going to be hard no matter what. I'm going to be sad no matter what. I'm going to be depressed no matter what. I'm going to have terrible days no matter what. I'd rather have those terrible days fighting for my life to have the best life I could possibly have than, have those terrible days and not even be doing anything I want on those terrible days. I think it's the same way. I think if love is going to be hard, if love is going to be challenging, if having an open heart is going to be challenging, if being happy is going to be challenging, it's like, might as well, face all of those things with the right mindset. It's hard to be alone. It's hard to be in bad relationships. It's hard to be afraid of getting your heart broken. It's also hard to maintain a really solid, beautiful connection. It also takes a lot of work. And like I mentioned, a lot of work on your own demons, a lot of work on your own ego, and a lot of work on your own shadow. So, a lot of people have to accept that, maybe they don't want to be in relationships. They don't want to be in friendships because they don't want to do the work to maintain those things. But even then, you can't get away from, opening your heart and healing your heart, because it's not just about love and relationships. It's about creating the life that you want. It's about your intuitive vision. It's about seeing things and not being afraid and not holding on to pain. It's about so much more. And overall, I feel like it's just about embracing fluidity. I feel like love is about freedom and free flowing energy. And, the more stagnant you are, the more stubborn you are, the more controlled you want to be in that space, the more you want to, criticize, and the more you want to be a pessimist, and the more you want to pick out all of the negative, and the more you want to, protect yourself from things before they even happen, the harder it is to move in those spaces, because you put yourself in a position where you can't move forward unless you're able to navigate everything and see everything. And I think that is important. Like I mentioned, you want to set your boundaries, you want to protect yourself, but you also want to give yourself the courage to move. And you want to teach yourself that even if I have a bad day or a bad moment, or I picked the wrong person, I'll be okay. And when you have an open heart, you feel that way. When your heart is in a space of restriction, you feel like, if my business fails, I'll never open up another business. If this best friend fails, I'll never get another best friend. If this doesn't work out, I'll never land this again. And that is so restrictive, in so many different areas of your life. So having an open heart is about having a belief that you can have beautiful, effortless, magical things. And that, yes, it can come after some hardship. And yes, it comes because of hardship sometimes, or it comes along with hardship sometimes. But the chances that we're going to get those things without hardships are slim to none. So we want to be in a space where we're open to knowing that we can handle whatever it is that's preparing us to maintain what's coming our way. That's the biggest thing. It's not happening for nothing. It's happening because we have to be prepared. We have to have thick skin to maintain strong, deep connections that are supposed to help us grow and ascend spiritually. These are not lightweight, little flunky connections we're talking about. We're talking about soulmate connections, connecting with people that have been in your life, for eons, connected with spirits that have known you for a very long time, and just always falling into alignment. And the way that we do that is by stepping into, openness. It's about adapting an open heart and an open mind and an open personality. And also finding the balance between those boundaries that we need to protect us. And we know the boundaries that we need because of our past. No matter where you are, no matter what you've been through, you've been hurt enough to know what you don't want. You know what doesn't work for you. You know what you don't want. So start there and allow yourself to create an environment of openness where you're safe because you know what you don't want. And you know that you've built up the muscle and the energy and the tools to protect yourself against those things. And even if you feel like you haven't, how can you learn unless you're in the field? How can you learn unless you're in the field? And you have to be open to be in the field so you can accept those learning experiences and make it do what it do. So yes, guys, this is a conversation about opening your heart, about being open to love, and, what that means and what that looks like, and how we can connect with so many different things through opening our heart and what that journey looks like. So if you appreciated this message, let me know down below how you felt about it. Let me know your thoughts. If you guys want a part 2, if you guys have any questions about any of these things, let me know down below in the comment section. I love you guys as always. You can book sessions with me, connect with me, follow me on social media, all of that and then some by looking at the links down below in the description box. I love you guys as always, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys. Bless.